Hi, this is Ray Grant. In my previous video, I pointed out that Mike Butterfield wrote a series of articles defending the Radian Theory on Tom Voigt's message board back in October of 2000. If you want to visit those articles yourself, you can go to the Wayback Machine, type in zodiackiller.com, go back to, let's say, 2010 or 2011, click on message boards, go to the archived message board, then click on Zodiac Theories, and then in Zodiac Theories, click on Chasing the Radian, X marks the spot, and it will take you to Butterfield's articles. The debate concerning the Radian Theory made me determined to settle the issue once and for all. To begin with, I threw out everything I had ever done in my previous map analysis and started anew with the map sent by the Zodiac in June of 1970. Next, I located the scene of Paul Stein's murder at the corner of Washington and Cherry Streets in San Francisco. Using several other San Francisco street maps, I was able to pinpoint the scene on Zodiac's map by noting its relationship to the visible landmarks, such as the border of the Presidio base, the coastline, Geary Street, and the Golden Gate Bridge, among others. Unfortunately, the border of the Zodiac's map lies between the two Vallejo murder scenes, at the point where Lake Herman Road meets Columbus Parkway, and it was clear that the BRS scene was not visible. Since the radiant suggestion pertained to the map, and Penn's theory included Blue Rock Springs, the Zodiac or anyone else could only measure a radian which included this scene by estimating where Blue Rock Springs Park might appear if it was visible on the map. At this point, I knew I needed more information if I was going to accurately locate the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs scenes. I called upon Ed Neal and Jake Wark to provide their analysis. I mailed Jake and Ed copies of the Zodiac's map, a USGS map of the Bay Area, and a map of Vallejo and environs, asking that they locate and mark all the relevant Zodiac scenes. I also asked the pair to estimate the location of the Blue Rock Springs scene on the Zodiac's map and mark that spot. Jake dutifully participated in what he dubbed the Zodiac Olympics, and soon returned the annotated maps. Ed took advantage of geography, using a video camera to gather footage of the two Vallejo crime scenes and the drive in between. He also filmed himself charting the scenes on a map of Vallejo and returned this videotape with his annotated maps. I used the 6 maps provided by Jake and Ed, several other maps of the Bay Area, Ed's videotape, a similar videotape I had made on an earlier visit to Vallejo, several internet maps, and aerial photographs in my attempts to accurately locate these sites. Jake's estimation of the Blue Rock Springs scene on the Zodiac's map was too far to the west of the actual site, but he was able to accurately locate all the sites which were visible on the map. My approximation of the Washington Cherry scene was accurate, but I was wrong on both the Lake Herman Road and Blue Rock Springs scenes. Ed was accurate on those 2 scenes, but placed the Washington Cherry site to the north and many blocks to the east of the actual scene, inside the Presidio. The location is actually nearer the middle and south of the base. It should be noted that the copy of the Zodiac's map, which Ed was given to work with, was a low-resolution copy of a very small photograph. Ed also stated that he had marked this scene in haste. This guesstimate serves to illustrate the precision necessary to locate the sites, as well as the difficulty and margin for error in doing so. Once I was able to accurately locate all the scenes on the other maps, I marked them on my copy of the Zodiac's map. I placed another X where I believe the Blue Rock Springs scene would appear were it visible on that map. To put the Radian Theory to the test, I used a protractor and a sharpened pencil to measure an angle valued between 57.4 and 58.1 degrees, with the Washington Cherry site serving as the 0 point and Mount Diablo as the apex. The Blue Rock Springs site lay somewhere between 58 and 59 degrees. The Lake Herman Road scene somewhere between 59 and 60 degrees. As estimates, the margin for error would comprise a distance of at least 1 degree or more. The line of a sharpened pencil is extremely fine, unlike the blunted felt-tip pen the Zodiac used to annotate his map. When this same radian is drawn on the Zodiac's map using such a pen, creating a line approximating the width of the Zodiac's cross circle, the lines fall directly through the Washington and Cherry Street site, and the X approximating the location of the scene at Blue Rock Springs Park. Thus, if the Zodiac had used the same map to estimate such a radian, and had also used such a pen to mark the location of the Blue Rock Springs site on some sort of tracing, he may well have believed that this site fell between 54 and 58.1 degrees. Also, the difficulty in the estimating the Blue Rock Springs scene on the Zodiac's map may have caused the Zodiac to make a simple mistake while measuring, thereby incorrectly marking the site by 1 degree. Arguments refuting the Radian Theory often mention the fact that the Zodiac's map does not show the Blue Rock Springs scene, and therefore the Zodiac would not attempt to apply a radian which included this site. I believe there is a simple explanation for this perceived discrepancy, although I readily admit that my theory is only speculation. The map sent by the Zodiac is what is generally referred to as an inset map, or a small map featuring an area of the larger map which it accompanies. The Zodiac had apparently cut the inset map from the larger map before sending it along with the letter of June 26, 1970. The larger or primary map most likely illustrated an area spanning an extensive view of both Mount Diablo and the Blue Rock Springs scene, if not the areas further north of Vallejo as well. Undoubtedly, this map would not show as much detail as the inset map, and therefore it would be even more difficult to accurately locate the crime scene with absolute precision. Yet, that map would probably show all the relevant scenes, and it is possible that the Zodiac may have used that map to measure his radian. If so, the minor error in that measurement on that map may explain the discrepancy, especially if the Zodiac also used the same felt-tip pen which he had used to annotate the inset map. In short, the Zodiac may have believed that he had accurately constructed a radian, in spite of the tiny fraction of error created by the same difficulties which Ed, Jake, Bill Nelson, and I all encountered. The Zodiac may also have believed that the police would likewise consult a larger map, which did include the Blue Rock Springs scene. After all, most police departments routinely consult large maps of their jurisdictions and outer areas in order to accurately locate pertinent sites. Assuming that his crime scenes did form a radian with Mount Diablo, it is logical that he would also assume that the police would reach a similar conclusion. This analysis is not offered as a complete explanation of the Zodiac's map or his radian suggestions. Rather, it demonstrates that the Radian Theory is a plausible and credible interpretation of the material, despite minor discrepancies in measurements. Just as it is impossible to know that the Zodiac desired or intended such interpretations, it is equally impossible to prove that he did. The Radian Theory may remain the subject of debate, and some may choose to dismiss its importance or rule it to be the result of coincidence. Yet this analysis of the Zodiac's map and the relevant scenes proves that this theory is by no means invalidated. Others are welcome to repeat or improve upon my methods, and offer the results of their own analysis. Thanks to Jake and Ed and Bill Nelson for all their help. If I have made any errors, please bring them to my attention. Thank you. After demonstrating the Radian Theory on the Case Reopened TV show in March 1999, Mike Butterfield then devoted a tremendous amount of time and trouble to investigate and then staunchly defend the Radian Theory on Tom Voigt's message board in October 2000. Then in September 2009, Butterfield abruptly announced on his own forum that the Radian Theory had been debunked. Then, in August 2010, he called Ray Grant and others who had promoted the Radian Theory crackpots, even though none of the measurements for the radian had changed. What happened? In 2007, David Fincher's movie Zodiac appeared. Mike Butterfield was one of the paid consultants for the movie, which helped lead to his securing a book deal for a book he never wrote. In 2007, Butterfield started his own website, Zodiac Killer Facts. Because of the publicity from the movie, Zodiac Killer website suddenly began receiving millions of hits per month. Frustrated after his literary agent dropped him and his book deal fell through, Butterfield decided to compensate by adding a forum to his website in 2009. Because he was now in competition for those millions of internet hits, Butterfield needed something which would set him apart from Tom Voigt's site. He decided to present himself as the Great Debunker and his site as the Great Debunking Website. The problem was, Butterfield now needed something big to debunk, and the only thing he knew, the Zodiac's radian was off by 2 to 3 degrees. So even though he had explained that discrepancy away back in 2000 and done a pretty convincing job of it, Butterfield now began screaming that anyone who believed the Radian Theory was a crackpot. That ought to get people's attention. Ironically, Butterfield's argument defending the Radian Theory still made more sense than his arguments debunking it. Fortunately for him, Mike Butterfield was making these debunking arguments in the bizarre world of the Zodiac online community, where, as Galileo learned when he went before the Inquisition, the sun still circles the earth and the earth doesn't move. Which leaves us with one question. Which Mike Butterfield does he want us to believe?